It's time to get into the off-season files, though. Cincinnati Bengals, what do they got? What do they have to do to win it all? Or to win to win their off-season, I guess I should say.
I was about to say, for them to win it all,
Well,
they'd have to hope for an act of God and 28 teams to disappear from Thanos' hand.
From the third wave. Let's look at their free agents. They got A.J. Greene. That's a free agent. He's not coming back.
He gone.
There's no sense in continuing this fight. William Jackson is their priority free agent.
I don't think they might franchise him, but I kind of doubt it. Mm-hmm. This is a team that actually, for as bad as they are, they're losing a lot. Like, Carl Lawson's a good player. Mm-hmm. William Jackson's a good player. And they don't really have enough talent to afford losing guys like this.
Right. They've got, $37 million in money available to them in the offseason. I don't think there's a lot of room to save money, though. It doesn't look like they have any contracts that could really, or at least guys that they could cut loose to save money. Geno Atkins.
Geno Atkins is about the only one. Other than that, you get into, Tyler Boyd. They're not doing anything with Tyler Boyd. Mm-hmm. This is a team to me that's just really stuck. You need Burrow to be really good.
And he's going to be.
And you need Penny Sewell to follow you at 5.
And he's going to.
Possibly.
I think it's more likely than not. How about that?
I would agree with that.
Okay. All right. I think that takes care of them, but obviously that takes care of their first-round draft pick. But what can they do in free agency?
Well, the bad thing about teams like Cincinnati is that you wind up overspending on guys, just like DJ Reader. I mean, I like DJ Reader. Mm-hmm. They gave him $1 bajillion because they had to. Mm-hmm. What can they do? Like you said, I don't think A.J. Green's coming back. Mm-hmm. They need a tight end really badly. I'm going to tell you something that I've heard. There's been a little whisper about this, and it's the reason I said the Penny Sewell thing. There is a rumor going around NFL circles right now that Miami's going to take Penny Sewell at 3.
Okay.
If they don't get the Deshaun Watson deal done, they're going to load up with Tua and try to make him as comfortable as possible.
Oh, God. Him next to Robert Hunt?
Yeah.
Whew.
If they do that, I have a funny feeling the Bengals pick at 5 would be Kyle Pitts.
I like it.
Kyle Pitts is one of those dudes that I think every fan base in the top 8 is excited about.
I think it sizzles, but here's the thing. Is it the best thing for your franchise? Because the best thing for your franchise right now has got to be protecting your investment in Joe Burrow. So
and I don't disagree with you.
Would it not be a better idea for them to maybe pass on Kyle Pitts if, say, Penny Sewell goes off the board? Do they trade down go with like a Darrisaw or any of the
Christian
other?
Darrisaw or Rashawn Slater.
Rashawn Slater was the other one.
Yeah, Rashawn Slater's getting a lot of love that I don't fully understand. Mm-hmm. I don't dislike the guy, but I think he's a guard.
Mm-hmm. In most of the mocks and all of that, the assessments of the tackles this year, it feels like people are trying to come up with an excuse why Penny Sewell's not the number 1 guy.
And a lot of this happens.
Right, because depending on who you look at, some have Christian Darrisaw up there with or above Penny Sewell, and then other ones
somebody that has him above
Slater.
Penny Sewell, let me give you a solid piece of advice. If you're reading through a mock draft or a ranking or something like that,
right,
and it has Christian Darrisaw ahead of Penny Sewell, set it on fire and walk away from it and don't click on that anymore. And when I say set it on fire, I mean actually set your computer on fire. It's broken now.
It's broken.
It now has a virus. It's bad. You should set it on fire and make sure it doesn't infect the rest of your home.
I have seen some sources or experts have him and Rashawn Slater above Penny Sewell.
Well, there's an idiot
I guess because of the opt-out?
There's an idiot born about every minute. So, and some of them do what we do.
Right.
Anybody that doesn't have Penny Sewell at 1, you stop reading what they write instantaneously because you are a fool and you're trying to be clickbaity. Now, once you get to 2, I'm fine with Darrisaw. I'm fine with Rashawn Slater. Just, like I said, I think he's a guard. I don't take guards that high unless they're Quentin Nelson, and Rashawn Slater ain't. He ain't Quentin Nelson.
Okay.
There's been 2 of those in my lifetime. So, yeah, I'm not doing that. For me, the contingency with the Bengals, you said they could trade down. I think the closer we get to draft day, the more you're going to think every team could trade down. And I'm afraid we're going to run into the same problem we ran into last year. Everybody wants to trade down. Nobody's wants to trade up.
Yep.
They're calling your bluff. You're not going to do it. You're not going to take the quarterback. The Bengals are the one team that they're not trying to bluff you. If Penny Sewell's there, that's who we're taking. If not, then we're open for business and you can jump in front of the Eagles.
Right.
I really struggle. And, I mean, you know how I feel about Trey Lance and Justin Fields and all these other quarterbacks. I struggle to believe. The Kevin Vick Memorial Bill. I struggle to believe that there's a team and a GM that's going to be willing to stake their job on Trey Lance. That's the only one you're trading up for. You can't watch the film on Justin Fields and go, yeah, I'm going to trade up for that. Fired. So I don't buy it.
Right.
I think a lot of these teams are going to be stuck. It's one of the reasons that the more I've heard the Penny Sewell to Miami thing, the more it makes sense.
Right.
Because Austin Jackson can play right tackle, their first-round pick last year, and Hunt can play guard. And with that, you've got a hell of a line in front of Tua Tagovailoa.
If you're running the front office of the Bengals, you got $37 million to play with in free agency. What's your number one thing you're going after?
Offensive line. I mean, to me, if you don't bulk up the offensive line, nothing matters. You rendered Joe Mixon damn near useless last year because everybody and their brother knew what you were doing.
Yep.
So to me, you got to invest the money in protecting Burrow, opening lanes. You got to make Joe Mixon relevant again. If Joe Mixon's as bad as he was last year, then none of this matters. You can't be a second-year quarterback with a running game that bad. Everybody in the stadium knows what you're doing. And all teams did was drop back and let him pick and pop on them. Short, intermediate passing game, and eventually he's either going to get sacked or throw a pick.
Yeah.
And that's what he did constantly.
Cincinnati's skill positions are fine. They don't need – really? Do they need another wide receiver?
I don't think they have a one. That's my problem is that I don't think you have – I think you have a great accumulation of twos.
I think T. Higgins can be a one.
It can be, yes,
I really
he can
do.
be. I don't know that he ever will be. See, my fear is last year T. Higgins got number 2, number 3 coverage. Next year he's getting the one because he's the scariest guy on this team and it's not close. Tyler Boyd runs out of the slot.
Yep.
So whoever your best corner is, if you're a man team, that's who he's going to see week in, week out. And the bad thing for guys like him is that he's very good being defended by a 2. His feet are not great. He's not a great route runner, but he's very physically imposing. He's very large. He's got very good hands. My fear is that you start seeing number 1 coverage and he's going to look like that 2. So, I mean, to me, I wouldn't be averse to them bulking up the line in free agency and drafting another weapon for Burrow.
Yeah.
I like the Kyle Pitts idea personally.
Obviously at 5, Penny Sewell, if he's there, he's the surefire answer because he's your franchise left tackle
Correct.
for the next 15 years. Signed, sealed, delivered, get it done. Go ahead and sign the extension now. I know you can't do that, but you might as well. And then you get around to them having the 5th pick again in the 2nd round. That's where it can get interesting with a wide receiver.
There are a ton of receivers in this draft. This year's not as good as last year, but it's pretty damn good. And there's part of me that thinks you could see a fall for Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase. Jalen Waddle's going to go higher than you think he will.
Not to the 2nd round.
No, God,
Okay,
no.
all right,
I'm talking about they may not go at 3 or 5 or 6.
Okay, I got you.
Devontae Smith could fall out of the top 10. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. And the reason it could is because there are a ton of receivers. I mean, I look at guys like, 2 ACC guys that we've covered here. Daz Newsome and Sage Serrat. That's 2 guys I like a lot that are going to go in day 2. And I think they're instantaneous number 2s on most teams.
Sage Serrat with his speed. He
Sage
could be a
Surratt's
great
hands.
replacement for John Ross with this team.
He's not that fast. Sage
pretty
Surratt's not that fast. Watch what he runs at his pro day.
Okay.
It's the thing with Sage Serrat is a lot of the things he's done are misleading. You watch the tape on him, he plays faster than he is.
Okay.
That's not a negative. Mm-hmm. It's just he doesn't have the straight line speed that
You're
think
saying
he does.
he's not blazing fast.
Correct.
Gotcha.
The other thing you got to remember about Sage Serrat is that team ran a lot, especially with Jamie Newman. Mm-hmm. And so you see him wide open because there were 7 dudes in the box. So you have to be really careful. When he's man on man, he has struggled to separate at times. And that does make me nervous, but he is a hands catcher.
What can be their ceiling next year? Cincinnati, best case scenario this offseason, what would you put their ceiling at?
7-9.
I think I'm with you. Maybe 8-8.
They can get markedly better. And you can tell, I think Burrow is the future. Mm-hmm. I saw enough from him last year that I can go, that's your dude. You have your dude. Mm-hmm. You have your dude at the most important position in sports. So I think they're going to be better. I don't necessarily think they're going to be good. I also think their division is going to take a serious downturn this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think any team in this division outside of them is better than they were last year. Cleveland's not going to be as good as they were because they are going to lose a lot and they're pressed up. They're going to spend, and what happens with Odell? Pittsburgh's killed against the cap.
Yep.
And Baltimore's going through a massive shift. I can't tell you that they're going to be worse. I can just tell you there's going to be a lot of new faces on that team.
Right. All right, let's head down south. We'll talk about